For 60 years, Chesapeake Bay Maritime Museum has been rooted in the community we serve. We owe our origin to a group of forward-thinking community members. In the 1950s, the Chesapeake Bay Bridge widened access to the eastern shore and brought rapid changes that inspired the community to pull together to create a museum, opened in 1965, that would preserve the shared history of this ever-changing culture. Our collections were built from an outpouring of community donations representing snapshots of life on the bay across generations. And at the beginning, the museum's operations were an all-volunteer effort. Today, community remains central to our mission, with support from a dedicated team of volunteers, from guest hosts to boat captains, educators to carpenters, and so much more across campus. We are a proud gathering place for our community. Throughout the year, we open our campus to community partners and host programming for all ages and interests, including festivals celebrating the best of the Bay, speaker events sharing the Chesapeake's history and culture, community recognition events like our Education Professionals Gratitude Day, and free catch and release fishing from our docks. We started the Rising Tide after-school program to serve middle school students in our community by sharing workshop and life skills. Several of the program's participants have come to work at CBMM, including Caden Lewis, who joined our Shipyard apprenticeship program earlier this year to continue his education and ultimately ensure that these skills will remain in our community for another generation.
Hi, I'm Caden Lewis. I'm a shipwright apprentice here at the Chesapeake Bay Maritime Museum. I'm a local to the Eastern Shore. I live here in St. Michael's. Moved here in 2012. In 6th grade, I started Rising Tide. Worked my way into an internship in my last year of high school. And then after I graduated high school, I started the shipwright apprentice program here in January of 2025. My father had signed me up for Rising Tide. Our instructor was Matt Engel. He was the most awesome dude that you could meet. And he would take us out sailing, take us out and volunteer or dory boat. The most memorable part is that we built 2 Smith Island skiffs that we still have, and that basically started my boat building prodigy. I liked working with wood. I liked the measuring of the planks and working with other people to build this boat. It was just awesome, very awesome experience to be a part of Rising Tide. It couldn't have been better without the teachers, especially Don Bull, which he calls me his right-hand man, and still to this day.
First met Caden in the Rising Tide program, which is in its 10th year now. Caden stood out among all the other students. We used to do a question and answer series. We'd have to get Caden to the side and say, Caden, stop talking all the time and answering all the questions, give the other children a chance. I don't know what could be more rewarding than to see a young man like Caden grow up and become an outstanding young man. CBMM is fortunate to have him in the shipyard community, and I think Caden is just what CBMM needs to carry it into the next 60 years.
I basically said to myself, that's going to be me one day. I wanted to work with boats. I wanted to be around boats basically for the rest of my life. And doing this, I will be able to do that. And just watching Joe Connor, watching Cole Meyerhoff, watching Spencer Sherwood, just all those people who worked in the shipyard prior to me, I basically looked up to them. They're my superhero, and that they're just so awesome that what they're doing, it makes me want to do it. And I'm proud that I'm currently here doing what they're doing. This place is basically my second home. If I wasn't home, I was here. The experience and the people who are around here, they make this place the Chesapeake Bay Maritime Museum. Whether it's in the shipyard or it's curatorial or administrative, they make this place what it is, and it is probably the best place on the Eastern Shore of Maryland. Thank you, Chesapeake Bay Maritime Museum, for 60 years of boating and woodworking experience, and here's to many more.